Big news we are tracking at this hour. A military aircraft crashed at the Air Force Station in Jorhat, Assam. During landing, IAF has confirmed the news. The aircraft involved was an IAF Antonov AN-32 cargo plane used for transporting supplies. The accident occurred while the aircraft was attempting to land at the airbase. Smoke could also be seen rising from the crash site while officials launched a rescue operation. There are fears that the pilot may have lost his life in the crash, IAF has reported. The Air Force Station in Jorhat is one of the key Indian Air Force installations in the northeast and plays a crucial role in air operations across Assam and the region. Further details are awaited as rescue and investigation efforts continue at the site. The Air Force operates a fleet of approximately 100 Antonov AN-32 tactical transport aircraft, although the IAF initially procured 125 of the Soviet origin aircraft. The number of planes currently is in active service stands at around 100. Since the 1980s, the AN-32 has served as the backbone of the IAF's medium lift transport capabilities. It is considered a vital asset due to its robust performance during operations in hot weather conditions and high altitude regions like the Himalayas. I am joined by VN Jha, Senior Scientist, former Joint Director DRDO. So my first question to you is, this is an aircraft from the Soviet times. And are these aircrafts getting updated? Are they being upgraded? Were these aircrafts upgraded so far?
Very good morning to you. And I'm sorry I'm hearing this news. It's a very sad news for the Indian Air Force. My thoughts and sensitivities for the family which have been affected, if there have been. Coming back to the aircraft, well, this is a very old aircraft. It had been the workhorse of Indian Air Force for fairly long time. But it is also true that it is a very old aircraft, and the spares, especially after the Ukraine war, in which Antonov facility was totally decimated in Ukraine. Thereafter, the spares have been slightly difficult to procure, and in that light, of course, by the time I was not in the Air Force, by that time, many of the maintenance issues had cropped in. Uh, the aircraft that I'm seeing onto the screen right now, the way it is crashed, it is slightly perturbing because AN-32 was meant to be a very robust aircraft, land without engines as well, and land at any ground, whatsoever terrain it may be, successfully, reasonably with safety. Why we are saying the the undercarriages up? That means the aircraft has toppled down. What has caused this? Of course, Indian Air Force must have set up a court of inquiry in which all experts, usually there are three experts. One is the pilot, another is the technical, and third is the human factor specialist. So these three will be going through the court of inquiry proceedings. They will examine all the aspects. They will keep all possible reasons on the table for it to be discussed, elaborated, deliberated, and negated in case if can. So all those process will be on. I have myself investigated, have been member of the court of inquiry in about seven fatal aircraft accidents. So I'm group captain. Have been the group captain in Indian Air Force. So that is what it is there. We don't know the details, but as it looks, it is crashed on landing, and I can also see in the picture few low level clouds, and that is something very dangerous in and around the airfield. Though airfield operations have been there, AN-32 has got the instrument ILSS with which it can make the landing at a very limited vision as well. So let us see, let us wait for some more information to come. But this is extremely sad. This is aging aircraft, there is no doubt. But the spares and maintenance, have been a issue of late after the Ukraine war, but I doubt if the aircraft would have been unserviceable before it being offered for the flying. The Indian Air Force maintains a very strict maintenance manual. Any plane before flying, the engineers, the technicians, they go through each and every system, and then only they certify it fit in case if it is everything is fit, and then they offer for the flying. So very fact that the aircraft was taken for flying, it must have been serviceable. One odd instruments, unserviceable or something, we have also felt it in our times, that one odd instrument goes bad at times. But then, they are the other instruments which come into play, which support the entire orientation in the flying. So let us wait for some more information to come. But this is very sad.
You just mentioned other instruments. I would like to know what other instruments.
Oh, look, what happens? We have got the set of instrument. There are some main instrument, and then there are the corollaries with which we draw inferences. For example, if I am flying straight and level, thereon the altitude is being maintained. In case of the altimeter seldom, very rarely it malfunctions. But should it malfunction, should there be a doubt, I look at my VSI, that is the vertical speed indicator. If the VSI is zero, I assume that's the corollary inferences that we draw, that the aircraft is level. It is not losing any altitude. Similarly, there are other sets of instrument, as well as the, say, I was giving you the example of the altitude. We have got the altimeter, we have got the manual reading analog instrument is there. So corollaries are always there from we take the inferences should one set of instrument create doubt or go unserviceable at times. But there have been many times that during the flight something goes wrong. The main radar, weather radar, doesn't work. So these things have been there in the past, but let me not assume or make any assumption what could have been there. Speculations should be restrained. Any speculation in the accident should be restrained. But very fact that the accident has happened at the Air Force base itself. I can see some of the blast pans in your in your visual. So it is happened in the at the Air Force station itself. There must have been something drastically wrong, that the aircraft has toppled down, it has veered off the runway, and the way it is crashed, it is very, very unfortunate.
Definitely, and the point is that these aircrafts are made to be used in rugged terrains, in tough climatic conditions, in Himalayas, and these aircrafts, which are of Soviet Union time. Now, one pilot is feared dead. I want to know the safety record of these planes.
A very, very safe aircraft. This AN-32, it has got the high wings, it has got the high engines, it is a turboprop, and it is a very robust aircraft. I told you it has been the workforce of the Indian Air Force. Earlier, we used to fly in the AN-12s. AN-12 used to be, something entirely different. So these aircrafts, it became the workhorse of Indian Air Force, and subsequently in 12 were phased out. And track record of N-32 is extremely good. It's a dual engine aircraft. Even if one engine goes out, the other engine can make the aircraft safe land. So these things happen there. There are very few accidents that happen of Indian of this N-32s, but they are very far and few. Looking at the fleet that we have got, very few accidents have happened. And even if it comes for the forced landing or without engine or something, aircraft design supports such things. I told you, it is the high engine. Even if there is no engine, it can land even at the other terrains, other than the places where there is no runway. There could be a kacha land underneath. There could be a farmland underneath. Even there, it can make a landing. So that is how rugged and safe this aircraft has been. It is no, it's a rare thing that it has happened in such a way that even the pilots have died. Crash, leave the crash apart. crashes do happen in the aircraft, but then the pilots have dead. That is something very very mesmerizing. Why such things happen? Something must have gone drastically wrong, and that too on the runway when it is coming for landing. There are the instruments to support by something would have gone wrong. Again, I will restrain myself from speculating, but then the northeast is the area where weathers are slightly unpredictable. Low clouds make it very vulnerable for the disorientation accidents to happen. Such things have happened. We have faced many a time there. So let's wait for some more facts come out exactly under which circumstances have been there. Since it has crashed on the runway, so air traffic controller must have had a good sight of the incoming aircraft, whether the attitude of the landing was proper or not, whether the slope for the landing was proper or not, or whether there was any low patch of clouds exactly on the way that the touchdown was going to be there. All these things will be investigated, and of course, the black box will come out. There, all the instrumentations and everything will be clear to the investigators.
Definitely, sir. As you rightly mentioned, that there are certain terrains and regions in India where those regions are more accident prone. But this has also happened in 1999 in New Delhi and in Arunachal Pradesh and West Bengal and several other places in India, in Kerala as well, over the past few decades. So, what would you say that how important is the terrain when it comes to the safety of aircrafts?
Look, I told you, if there is an aircraft, a machine heavier than air, there will be accidents. And we all know how it happened in the Indian Ocean, Bay of
Yes.
Bengal. The aircraft went down and it was untraceable for years. No one could even find where it is gone. So such things have happened in the past, but those sort of incidents or accidents are very very far and few. It's very rare such things happen. In the Sachin area. We have lost aircraft in the ocean. We have had many of the landing accidents in this aircraft. So again, there have been reasons for any aircraft to come down like this with the experts, the pilots on their seats. There are three crew who are mandatory in N-32. That the two main crew, pilot and the co-pilot, and there is also a load master or the flight engineer who takes care of many other things. So there are three people, so it is not a single person error that can cause the accidents. There are two or three crew always on the aircraft. So under such circumstances, with the dual engine aircraft to go down like this, where it has toppled and it has crashed, it has got fire. Fire, of course, post crash fires are known. If you have got the fuel in the tanks, there will be post crash fire. So, but even then, in most of the cases, the pilots and as many passengers as possible have been able to walk out of the aircraft or jump out of the aircraft after the crash. But in this case, I can see the aircraft topple down. What caused it? I don't know. We have to see the video of the last few seconds how it made the contact with the surface.
So definitely we'll have to look forward to the investigation. But sir, you have been the group captain, right? You are the expert here. What is the way forward so that such accidents do not repeat, so that we don't lose people who are working in the military for our nation?
See, our aircraft, the Air Force aircraft or defense aircraft, are slightly different from the commercial aircraft that we have. In the aircraft for the military uses, the set of instruments, the automation that is there are limited because the main aim of these aircrafts are to carry loads or the personnel. So they would like to keep as fewer instruments on board as possible. Of course, with the corollary set of instrument always coming into place for any inferences to be drawn in case if the main set of instrument goes down. It is also an aircraft where quite a bit of computerization is on, so the aircraft can fly very safely. all these are known to us. But then, like we have got far advanced aircraft these days. This aircraft, of course, is about of design of 70s, late 60s 70s design, which came to Indian Air Force in the 80s. So the aircraft is old, there is no doubt. We also have the another procurement procedure. You must have heard Airbus 295 is the one which is now being produced here in India, and that should gradually replace most of these aircraft, either the Dornier or some of the AN-32 light carrier aircraft. That should replace it there. So efforts are on to replace it also gradually. But then this has been the workforce of Indian Air Force. Most of the loads that we carry today, most of the loads being taken to the far and flung areas, Sachin, at the shorter airstrips. This is the STOL aircraft, short takeoff and landing. It doesn't need a very long runway. So the aircraft has been robust. There is no doubt at all. I'm not a flyer, but I'm specialist in aerospace medicine. Do know how to fly it. Do know how to know how the entire thing works. We are part and parcel of every accident that takes. We are a permanent member of the court of inquiries of the accidents. So we know all aspects of flying, how it flies there. But again, I would not like to speculate anything at this stage. But looks like a very bad accident. Touchdown has been very harsh. That has caused the aircraft to topple down. Maybe wings might have touched the surface first. That has thrown the aircraft to the otherwise. So let's wait for some information to come. I won't like to speculate prematurely.
We should not leave any room for speculation. We are also waiting for the investigation report when it comes out. Visuals on our screen right now, devastating uh, crash, and the pilot is feared dead. So I have come across news that there is increased defense spending. So what would you say that what are certain aircrafts or what are certain defense equipments that India should invest in now? Like, can you name them?
Look, modernization of Indian Air Force is the key element of it to be safe and robust. And that is what we had suffered a bit in the 90s, in the early 2000 or the entire 2000. In the UPA days, there were hardly any modernization of the services, especially Indian Air Force. So we have suffered that. You know how the story of Rafale unfolded. Rafale was initially prompted to be procured in NDA's time in 2000, I think 3. The first initial file movement started, but the flying trials of this aircraft, of the series of the aircraft in that group, that started a little later. But when we finished and we shortlisted Rafale, then the government said we don't have funds. So such things happen there. There is a government involvement in not modernizing the fleet in the past. But the present government, we can't blame it, because it has taken plenty of steps. We have got other very heavy lift aircraft which has been procured subsequently. So we can't blame the government as such, but then we should know this is an old aircraft. With the Ukraine in the rubbles, the spares which were supposed to come from the Antonov factory in Ukraine, that has not been coming. There could have been other source of getting these supplies and spares of the aircraft. But very fact that Indian Air Force, the technical team, has certified the aircraft fit for flying today morning. It has offered the aircraft for flying. That means everything must have been absolutely fine. Very small something going unserviceable, some small things which doesn't have direct impact onto the flying, that do accept. Pilots are very experienced. They do accept in case if can be accepted. But any set of instruments or control or anything wrong with the engine or anything going wrong with the airframe, they don't accept. They don't accept for flying at all. So very fact that the aircraft was accepted by the
Accept.
pilots for flying.
So you said a line that they don't accept. What do you mean by the pilots don't accept if they feel that there is a engine failure or there is a problem in the wing of the aircraft? You said a
No,
line. They don't accept.
after we fly the aircraft,
Yes.
after it comes to down, after last sortie, we do the LSS, last servicing of the aircraft after the flying. And again, before the aircraft is offered for flying on the for the next sortie, there are set of maintenance and servicing which goes through, and all those vital instruments, airframe, engine, avionics, sensors, everything is being checked up. So if it is all fine, fit, then only it is offered for flying. If it is not fit, then it is not offered. But what I also mentioned to you once said that some small non-critical instruments, something like seat belt, the passenger seat belt, that may not be as efficient as it should be. There are other things within the not cockpit, in the cabin, which may not be absolutely in perfect condition. If it was a sortie which has taken few people, few personnel for taking them from place A to place B, or if it was for some other air observation sortie, or if the sortie was just going from one place to the other place, or training sorties, some limited, you know, uh, not malfunctioning, unserviceability of some set of airframe within the cabin or something, we do accept. But if the pilot is critical, if he doesn't want any unserviceability to be accepted, he rejects the aircraft. He doesn't take the aircraft. But if he feels that he is flying the aircraft from place A to place B, and there are some few airframe issues within the cabin which doesn't come into play, he will take it. He will say that okay, I don't have anything to do with there. But the aircraft should be absolutely safe. There is no compromise onto that. Then only they accept the aircraft. And again, when they accept the aircraft, they start up, they run all through checks. They have got the checklist. When they start the aircraft, they go through the entire checklist, all sets of equipment, communications, avionics, uh, uh, engine parameters, including jet pipe temperature and everything. So they go through everything, then only they taxi out. And during the taxi out also, they test the brake, they test everything that is supposed to be done. And after they are lined up at the beginning of the runway, they increase the RPM of the aircraft, maybe 90% or 95%, keep the brake on, and then again under that condition check all the parameters, all instruments. When everything is on, then only they release the brake and they take off. So all this sets thing goes on the flying every time. So in this case also, I don't have any reason to not to believe that this would have gone through. That means the aircraft at the time of the takeoff would have, under the powered condition, under the full engine thrust, would have been normal. Then only it has taken off. Otherwise, there is a abort takeoff. In case something malfunctions during the runway, takeoff roll, they will abandon takeoff, because this is the SQL aircraft I told you, short takeoff landing. It needs just about 700 odd meters for it to take off. So there are plenty of occasions where something found wrong with the aircraft. The pilot will not take off from there. So very fact that he had taken off, the aircraft have flown normally all through. It has come for landing, and then at the time of landing, something would have gone. It could be issues with the human factor, pilot error. It could be meteorological error. It could be technical error. So something would have gone wrong there. Or usually all such cat 1 accidents or the fatal accidents have got the mosaic pictures, many things going wrong, all at together, then only such things happen. So it could be any of those things. I don't know anything about right now this aircraft, what had actually happened at the touchdown time. So let's wait for some information to come.
This is a very deeply unfortunate incident, and thank you for joining us at News 9. And we continue to track the story. Thank you, sir.